The idea of being a star in the NBA is a very broad concept, and determining what makes you a star is definitely debatable. Typically, if you produce at a high level for a long time, you begin to get the recognition of star status, and your personal brand begins to grow. However, if you put up big numbers but don't necessarily play winning basketball, how good are you really? This is where things get controversial and debatable, because it leads me into the topic of today's video. Today, we're going to be discussing 5 overrated players in today's NBA, and why I believe they are not quite as good as the hype around them. But first, be sure to subscribe below if you're a new viewer, as all support for the channel is much appreciated. With that being said, let's get right into it. First up on the list of overrated players is Andrew Wiggins. Wiggins has been surrounded by hype ever since his first high school mixtape. Labeled such things as the next LeBron, the best NBA prospect in years, and a future superstar, Wiggins had lofty expectations as a player. Yet, through 4 years in the NBA, he is nowhere even remotely close to living up to those expectations. The only good thing he has brought to his Timberwolves team throughout his career, thus far, is scoring, and even here I'm treading lightly. Sure, he has scored a lot of points, averaging 19.8 points per game over his career, but he does so by taking high volume of shots on low efficiency. When he catches the ball, it's more than likely going to result in a shot, which is not very ideal, seeing as out of everyone in the league who has had over 100 isolation possessions this year, Wiggins is the second worst scorer on those possessions efficiency-wise. As a top 2 option on the Wolves, the team was terrible for his first 3 years, and only once Jimmy Butler came to the team did they begin to win. Now, on top of all of that, reports have also claimed that Wiggins is not happy in his new role as a third option, despite the team winning more. If this is true, then it is clear that Wiggins only cares about his own production and is content with losing, because no team with Wiggins as a top 2 option is ever going to win anything anytime soon. Next up on this list is Carmelo Anthony. After a summer hyped up with the whole Hoodie Melo craze, there were big expectations for him in his new Oklahoma City home. Playing alongside reigning MVP Russell Westbrook, giving him another scoring option, was supposed to boost the team to the next level as a championship contender, yet so far the Thunder are on track to win the same amount of games as they did last year. Melo is getting up there in age, and his skill set as an isolation scorer is diminishing. Out of every player that shoots at least 15 times, Melo has the worst field goal percentage of all of them at 40.6%. His efficiency, combined with the amount of shots he takes per game, has been very detrimental to the Thunder all year. Things have gotten so bad for Melo that at the end of games lately, he has been benched to close it out, and for good reason. Against the Celtics, he missed both of his free throws that could have closed the game out, and it was followed up by a game-winning shot by Marcus Morris for the Celtics' win. Then, that same week, Melo only put up 8 points and bricked the game away by missing multiple threes in crunch time. The worst part about this whole situation for the Thunder is that Carmelo's ego won't even allow him to accept a bench role on the team, even though all signs point towards that being the best option, with him being a 6th man. It must be difficult to be a star on decline, because that's what Carmelo Anthony is. He used to be one of the best players in the league, but in 2018, he quite simply is just nowhere close to that. Up next is Nikola Jokic. Jokic is a tremendous offensive talent that has made the Nuggets a dangerous unit to face game in and game out. Last season, the Nuggets were the 5th best offensive team in the league, and this year, they are the 6th best offensive team in the league, and a lot of that can be attributed to Jokic's versatility on the offensive end. He creates for others better than any other big man in the league, and scores efficiently. After the addition of Paul Millsap this offseason, many expected the Nuggets to be a top 5 team in the West. That, however, did not happen this year, and the team is now at very serious risk of missing the playoffs altogether. With all of the positives I just mentioned about Jokic, the recurring theme there was offense. The issue with him that makes him overrated as a player, however, is his defense. The key to a good defense is a good rim protector, and quite simply, Jokic just is not that. The Nuggets are the second to last ranked defense in the entire league this year, and Jokic's deficiency on that end contributes a lot to it. He's not quick on his feet, so making him defend pick and rolls has been very effective as a tactic against the Nuggets. Additionally, he's one of the worst defenders in the NBA, ranking only in the 19th percentile in post defense. He also has a bad habit to sometimes become too passive on the offensive end and defer to others in times that he should be aggressive. In 32 games this season, he has attempted only 12 or fewer shots, and the team is 500 in those games. Playing 500 basketball is not good enough to make the playoffs in the West, and Jokic's tendency to play passive hurts the team when he does. This has all contributed to the Nuggets currently sitting outside of the playoff picture with 5 games remaining. This summer, there were an abundance of people in the analytics crew calling him a top 15 player, and after another disappointing Nuggets season, he is definitely not in that range as a player, resulting in him becoming overrated. The next 2 players that I'm going to be talking about, I included reluctantly, because they have been some of my favorite players in the league over the last couple years, but it's time to face the facts. Up next, to start us off, is Blake Griffin. After Chris Paul left the Clippers for the Houston Rockets this summer, the Clippers officially became Griffin's team. He signed a massive contract extension in the summer to keep him in Los Angeles, and the expectation was that he would be able to elevate his play and keep the Clippers afloat in the playoff hunt. The team started hot, winning their first 4 games, but they then followed that up by losing 11 of their next 12. During that stretch, Griffin played horribly. His efficiency was dreadful, and he was forcing bad shots, not giving his best effort night in and night out like a leader is supposed to do, and his defense was lacking. To add on to all of that, he also injured himself and missed 14 straight games because of it, which has been a recurring theme over his entire career. Because of these inconsistencies, the Clippers moved on from him and shipped him off to the Detroit Pistons. Since that trade, the Clippers are 16-12, showing that the team is just fine moving forward without Griffin, as they are still in the playoff hunt. The same cannot be said for the Pistons, which is Griffin's new home for the foreseeable future. Adding Griffin was supposed to elevate the Pistons to the playoffs, but the experience so far has been disastrous. The Pistons were only 3 games back of a playoff spot when they added Griffin, but since then the team is now 5 games back and officially eliminated from the playoffs altogether. If Griffin can't play winning basketball anywhere he goes, then despite his superstar personality off the court, calling him a superstar on the court would make him vastly overrated. Lastly, it upsets me to say this, but DeMarcus Cousins has become overrated. He's been labeled the best center in the league for some time now, and that title has become very debatable with all the new young talent coming up. Yes, Cousins puts up monstrous numbers night in and night out, staying amongst the league leaders in scoring and rebounding, and his efficiency is also solid. Additionally, his defense, while there is room to improve, has been solid, and he is by no means a liability. With all of this praise, you might be wondering, what makes him so overrated? Well, to be frank, none of it has ever really attributed to winning basketball. Putting up huge numbers on losing teams, especially recently, has become less and less impressive through the years. Unless you lead a team to the playoffs, nothing you do is really that impressive. With Cousins, he's been in the league 8 years now, and has yet to play a single playoff game. If he didn't get hurt this season, he more than likely would have finally played in the playoffs alongside Anthony Davis, but going off of hypotheticals doesn't really get you anywhere. Without Cousins, the Pelicans were still able to rip off a 10-game win streak, which once again makes his value questionable. If he's able to return healthy next year and help the team make a playoff push, then all of these questions about him as a player can be thrown out. But at the current time, it's difficult to ignore 8 seasons with nothing to show for it. And with that being said, that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel if you're a new viewer. New videos come every week, so stay tuned for that, and make sure to follow me on Twitter @hoopsreference. See you next video.